Hello everyone, I'm broadcasting live from outside in Texas from Freedom by Creative Design Studios. Tracy Lee Harrington show. So here we go. I've had millions of retakes with this, by the way. Anyway, I started off with 2 author interviews, encouragement podcasts, and now currently over to music, so I figured it'd be fun to mix it up a little bit. So occasionally I'll be doing this, and I'll be doing music as well. Today's special guest speaker is Evan Knox. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Evan Knox. I forgot to tell you that Evan Knox is a small business owner in a LinkedIn connection. So I'm going to turn you over to Mr. Evan Knox.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Evan Knox, and entrepreneur here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And Tracy just asked me to share a little bit about how I've been navigating this season with the whole pandemic thing. So at the point of this recording, our state has currently opened back up. So I'm just going to walk you through a couple different businesses and possibly give you a little bit of encouragement during the season. So one of the businesses that I'm a part of is a fly fishing guide business. And so when the whole pandemic thing started to happen, we were definitely taking precautions for health stuff, but at first we didn't stop guiding trips because we weren't mandated by the state. And then after a few weeks, we had a shelter-in-place order here in Georgia. And so we decided to obviously just go ahead and stop offering trips. And so during that time, we tried to pivot some of our resources, and it would have been great, I think, if we would have probably paid more attention to doing stuff like writing blogs or other activities that would have led to long-term returns on that time spent that we don't normally get to. So there would have been an opportunity there to, I think, invest in our business by pivoting resources. So if you have a business or you have a side hustle or a hobby and this current pandemic has put you on hold, I would just encourage you to think about what ways can you adjust your time you may not get a direct return on investment right now, like you may not be asking for sales or selling as much, but maybe you can write blogs, or maybe you can work on taking better pictures of your website or pictures of your products, and so you can put them on your website, or working on your messaging. I suggest checking out a messaging framework called StoryBrand, and it will teach you 7 parts of story in order to how to actually translate that into your marketing. So that's a great idea, I think, is that if you can pivot resources, and we've actually gone ahead, they've lifted the shelter-in-place order, and we're doing trips, and that's going great. So that's one scenario. Another scenario is we have a business that is like at home, or I guess I have a part of a business that has like at home products. And so that you can put like stuff on your windows and whatnot. That one, surprisingly, is actually doing really well. I don't know that we have necessarily increased because of the pandemic. We've been doing a lot of marketing to try and optimize essentially our return on investment in our advertising. And so I don't know that one's necessarily affected either way, positively or negatively. But we've definitely had to take additional precautions with suppliers. Okay, so here's a great example of that. So that one, some of our products come from overseas. We actually import them, not all of them. Some are American-made products, some come from China. And so we had a really long shipping delay, obviously, because of the travel restrictions and the import restrictions. So once that was lifted, we were able to air ship some, which is more expensive. So we had to take a cut essentially in the long or the short term. And then the other half of our products, we actually decided to ship via like what do you call it? Sea freight. I don't know what their name is there. So that's another example. And then for my own business with caffeine marketing, we've definitely had a large variety or a large mix. So at first, we had a lot of our clients who got really nervous because they were worried about losing revenue. And so they were trying to cut costs, which is totally understandable. And so we had a handful of clients who actually decided to put our work on pause, which is, again, I get that. And then we had just like a random surge of so much work because a lot of these business owners and entrepreneurs saw this as an opportunity to do kind of the work that I was mentioning earlier, where you can not necessarily get immediately your return on investment, But you can work on your marketing. You can overhaul your website. You can create some sort of PDF on your website that people are willing to give their email for so that you can send them emails later and work on building out an email newsletter. So there's all sorts of stuff there really that you can do in order to work on your marketing, even if you're not necessarily taking sales at this moment, or if you're selling a product right now. And then there's a category of people who I'm friends with, which is not necessarily my situation as an entrepreneur, but who are, have lost their job. And so I think that there's definitely people that are still hiring right now, the Amazons, the Walmarts. I know a lot of other businesses that are in really, really high demand right now, so they're struggling to actually keep up. So there are definitely jobs out there if you're willing to pivot and be flexible. But another option is if you're furloughed, you could actually pick up some sort of freelance work. So are you a good writer? Do you like to, talk on YouTube? Like, could you talk to a camera? So there's all sorts of like fun side hustles that I think that you could pick up in this season. You could try YouTube. That's something that I've wanted to explore. I just don't feel like I have enough time to do. So try that. You could also write blogs for people. You could be a freelance writer. You could go into Fiverr or Upwork. There are two different websites where you can contract freelancers that I use from time to time, and I know a lot of other people do. So you can go in there and you could apply your services and get some work experience that way. So I think that there's all sorts of different ways that you could pivot in this season if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, you sell a product or service, or if you're an employee and you got furloughed or they cut your job. It might be a great opportunity to reinvest back into education. That may not be traditional education. That might be something like there's this thing called Business Made Simple University, which is like an online training that's related to the StoryBrand, which I mentioned earlier. You can check out that. So investing in yourself, I think, is a really great way to see an awesome return on investment, because as your skills develop, you're going to be able to make more money and get paid for your time. And that's super valuable. So, all right, with all that being said, I guess my last word of encouragement is to focus on what matters 100 years from now. For me, that's my faith, but for other people, that might be family, legacy, entrepreneurial legacy, or whatever. So I would just really encourage you, if you're out there and this is a hard season, to focus on what matters 100 years from now. Now, I'm not talking about people who are losing family members. That's a completely different scenario. I'm just talking about, more surface level stuff like inconveniences, not necessarily life shifting or chronic stuff. So anyway, with all that being said, I really just would love for you to think, okay, what matters to you 100 years from now? And I would pivot and try to focus on that. All right, with that, thanks so much. If you want to, contact me or reach out, you can just go to evanknox.com or caffeine.marketing. No .com, just caffeine.marketing, and we'll love to chat. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.